Clarissa, right? You mentioned you started with touch rugby. So how do you make that? I would call it a leap from touch rugby to contact rugby.
Oh, okay. Because you see, right, last year, SRU, Singapore Rugby Union, actually introduced a 7 girls tournament for all the different polys and JCs. So we had a little inter-school competition and tournament, and yeah, it was then that I was introduced to contact. So after that, I decided to join a club, to take it a level higher lah. Yeah, because I really enjoyed the game.
Is it the same for you?
Yeah, we both started out the same time in the introduction.
Okay.
Contact rugby, yeah.
And it just took you guys, what, one year? To get into the national team? Yes. So what was that 1 year like?
It was...
eye-opener actually.
Yeah.
Because we got to go up to Hong Kong to play Hong Kong Sevens and
Kazakhstan.
Yeah, we went up to Kazakhstan as well for 15. So
yeah.
Kazakhstan?
Really,
yeah.
You play rugby in Kazakhstan?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are very what? Oh, okay. Oh, they're the number one. Oh, oops, I'm sorry. What about you?
I was studying. I started at Touch 2. I was actually in St Andrews, and one of the other players, Serena, who's also in the national team, she was one who introduced me to contact. So yeah, because of her, I started playing contact, and she was actually really helpful. She was actually guiding me along and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, it actually I wasn't as fast as them. It took me 2 years to get into the national squad. For them, it was really fast.
I assume rugby is sort of like your passion, but you guys have jobs, go to school. How do you cope with work, school, and training and traveling for tournaments?
I usually get off from school when I was studying in uni, and when I was working as a
during the school term.
Yeah, during my school term. Okay. Yeah, the dean always let me off, so that was never an issue. And even when I was working as a copywriter, my boss used to just let me go off very easily as well.
What about you guys? I assume, being 20, you guys are still in school?
We just graduated from poly, so we have a lot of free time to train.
Yeah, and even during school, right, we would just have time because we were
trainings are normally at night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or like over the weekends. So we have a lot of free time.
So tell me how you sort of juggle. Yeah, how you juggle work.
Oh, okay. When I was in practice, it was much more difficult because I was in litigation and you had to go to court and there are trials. So when things were tight, then it may have to be that after training, I go back to the office. My boss.
That's usually what time?
My boss is really understanding in the sense that as long as the work gets done, it doesn't matter what time zone I'm working in. So, for example, our training would be from 6:30 to 9:30.
That's really long. That's 3 hours.
We finish about 9:30ish. Then I pack up, go back to office, and then I could be there until the next morning, or depending on how much work needs to be done.
Then what about, I don't know, friends, family, boyfriends?
Yeah, I think in terms of friends, a lot of our friendships are actually fostered.
In the team, right?
Yeah, in the team. We actually become really close to each other. We do have our own outside friends, definitely. But in terms of outside life, they tend to be very understanding. They do know that on certain days we are training, so those days they won't ask us out, but we tend to get our weekends for ourselves, so that's normally still fine.
Okay, having tried it for 15 minutes, not much, I can really tell that, it's very physically demanding. What are some of the worst injuries you girls got? I mean, I was at the game last Saturday, and when every time you girls collide, I go like, ooh.
It's a part and parcel of rugby. In fact, I think they're part and parcel of any sport, be it netball, soccer, that sort of thing. So I had a fairly common injury in the sense that many soccer players and even netball players have it. I tore my knee ligament. Claire.
Okay, when I was up in Kazakhstan, I actually I had a clean fracture on my clavicle, which is my collarbone. So I had to undergo surgery and stuff, and I think I fractured my ankle before as well. But yeah, it's all part and parcel of rugby. So
mine is I got a cut.
Was it from when? Today?
The previous game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got hit in the eye and it split lah. So
very bloody.
Yeah, very. But I still love the game, so I will continue playing.
Very good ambassadors of the sport.
Mine's also a fairly common injury. It happens to a lot of cricket players, netballers. I actually tore my ankle ligament. It just happened on Saturday's game as well. So yeah, it's no big deal. I'm already up and running around, so yeah, it's okay.
So after injury, how do you get yourself back in form? I assume a lot of conditioning, but you can't really play, right? But you still have to sort of train on the side. How does that work?
At least for me, we have a very supportive sports council helping us, and the Singapore Rugby Union. We get to go for rehab sessions, and we have physios taking care of us. So that's never really an issue for us. Whether we have no insurance or something covering us, that's never an issue with us.
So we've also been girls and we're all quite young and looking good. Now, do your parents worry? I mean, obviously injuries. I'm sure they worry. How do you all deal with that?
Actually, my mom's pretty cool about it. Like when I broke my collarbone, she was like. She knows it's, she thinks it's quite dangerous, but she's still like, it's your choice, to play rugby. So, yeah, I respect it lah. And she actually came down and watched my game before, yeah. So, yeah.
What about you?
My parents are very supportive, and they themselves play sports lah. I mean, they play soccer and stuff. So,
cool.
They understand that injuries is part of it lah. Yeah. So they are okay with it as long as I can take care of myself lah.
Still relatively, I think. I mean, there's a group of very passionate people playing rugby, but those people aside, it's still quite a quiet, or more not quiet, not niche. Can't really find the word, but you know what I mean. Not many. It's not as popular as soccer, or let's say badminton, because where you can just pick up a racket and book a court and go play. So you've been playing for 11 years. How have you seen the sport progress through these years, and in terms of support from the ground and awareness among the public?
Okay, when I first came back to Singapore, there were only 2 women's clubs playing contact rugby, and they only played sevens. Over the past 8 or so years, we've progressed to playing 15s, and we've even participated in the AFU, which is the Asian Championships, and come in 4th. So I think it's come quite far. As in terms of development, we're really trying to get rugby into the schools. So, for example, the under-20 program that's happened, that started 2 years ago, and we've also started introducing contact rugby into the universities. Part of the obstacles that we face with trying to develop the sport is partially the perception that it is very rough and perhaps male-dominated, and therefore only played by guys. But I think, as many of the girls have demonstrated, that's not the case. And as we begin to raise our profile in the international rankings, we hope that somehow has an effect on how people perceive rugby in Singapore. So, for example, our 7th squad came in second, or we had got a silver medal in SEA Games, and that actually raised the profile of the sport somewhat. So people actually began to realize that we have a women's rugby team, and they are pretty good. So, in that sense, as together with the what we call the high performance national team, we also hope to boost high participation at, for example, grassroots and school levels.
Football have its 2010 and all that. Do you all have sort of targets for the team? Where do you want to be in, let's say, 2010 is too soon, but what is sort of the target for the team to be at a certain level by a certain time?
Okay, at this point, we are sitting 4th in Asia for 15s. Next year is the Rugby World Cup qualifiers, where at this point we are not sure yet how many teams from Asia will qualify, but obviously it will be one of our goals to qualify for the Rugby World Cup, which will take place in 2010 in England. Yeah, so that's one of the more immediate goals. At the longer term, we're actually hoping to establish contact rugby as a CCA in the schools, secondary schools, as well as JCs and polys.
Maybe some of the outreach that you all do to schools, what do you all do? Do you have carnival sort of thing? Or?
Yes, we have coaching clinics. For example, Clarissa is actually one of the... I coached her when she first started playing. So the national team goes many of them, how they contribute back is to actually take up coaching certification and to help to develop the sport by coaching in the schools in these programs, introduction to rugby, and then that's, for example, a 5-6 week program, and then they go into a game. After that, we try and feed them through the system wherein they join a club and then develop their skills further.
And the system is doing well, everything is working, you're finding like new players every year.
In her batch alone, there were 120 new girls playing contact rugby from 7 or 8 JCs and polys, and that was the case last year as well. This year we've added in the universities, and so as that grows, we also hope to make domestic competition grow as well in size. Yeah.
Okay, maybe one last thing. What if somebody wants to start playing, and it's sort of out of school, so you can't really reach them through CCAs? How do they get about starting? How do they go about that?
Okay, they can go to the Singapore Rugby Union website, and there's also a women's slave site to it. So basically, you can contact any one of the clubs or keep out the look on our calendar of events. There are some introductory coaching clinics coming up next year. Either that, or you can just contact a club. Most clubs are open to having players join them at any point in time.
Okay, cool.